The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Are you ready to take a journey? Let's connect with the healers of the world. It's that time. It's time for the Language of Healing on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Now here's your host, Emotional Wisdom Training Specialist Nicole Fortin.
Hello, happy Friday. I hope you had a good week and thanks for joining us today. We are talking about Feng Shui and all things magical, creating magical spaces and healthy, abundant environments for ourselves. And firstly, we'll talk a little bit about Feng Shui. I'm not an expert in that. However, I have extensive training in traditional Chinese medicine, and acupuncture and Feng Shui are Chinese words meaning Feng meaning wind and Shui meaning water. And so it's wind, water. And so this might be a very abstract concept. What are we doing with creating spaces in regards to wind and water? So our guest Gillian White will help us decipher that a little bit, but I wanted to mention some things. Hello, Heather. Happy Friday. If you're tuning in live on Facebook or YouTube, you can leave comments, and I love interacting and seeing you here. Say hello and share in the fun. So one common question I get often with being an acupuncturist is, what is qi? Because acupuncture and Chinese medicine, we're talking a lot about qi and blood and its circulation and its proper flow. And basically, the Chinese medicine classics state that if you have free-flowing qi, you have no illness. It's like a hose that's running water, just a nice continuous flow. But once that hose has a kink in it, that's when obstructed flow happens, or stagnation, or something that disrupts the flow. So qi is something that's moving, and it's a very vast concept. I feel like I never do it justice when I'm saying what qi is, because commonly it'll be, referred to as life force or vital energy, commonly known, maybe similar to prana or something like that. Like it's an energetic mover. I will often compare it to the wind. It's like this immaterial thing that moves, but you can't see it. So it's invisible. It's a hard concept to really grasp. And what helps you grasp that concept is really looking at the character for qi. So in Chinese language and many Asian languages, there are characters, they're pictograms that try to draw and explain a concept that symbol represents. And the symbol for qi is represented in a character that means air. It's two symbols together, air or vapor and rice. So when we're talking about qi, it is the immaterial and the material. So it's practical and philosophical at the same time. So you can't really separate the two. This is like the duality of life, the yin and the yang, night and day, masculine, feminine. So we have immaterial and material. And so material in the sense that where we have rice, and the steam is also part of that qi. Qi is the steam and the rice. It's a little abstract, but this will help us give a little bit of a grasp on what we're talking about today, I believe, because when we're talking about our space, physical space, we have furniture and items in our home, but there's also that invisible flow or that invisible force that moves through that space. And I mean, even in scientific terms, we look at the structure of an atom, and it's a 1% material and 99% space. And that fact blows my mind, because when we can see all of these material things, but there's actually like so much more space that is involved with that. So let's bring on our guest now and hear what Gillian White has to say. Hi, Gillian.
Hi.
How are
Nice to
you?
be here. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. My goodness, look at your background with a beautiful, luscious greenery and sunlight.
Living in a winter climate, as you know, we are stuck inside lots. So it's so important for me to create a space where I can still feel more connected to the trees or the plant life, because usually everything's sleeping in winter for us. Yeah.
Have things started blossoming and blooming for you yet?
They have. It's so lovely. The Saskatoon bushes are blossoming. There's the buffalo beans, they're going. It's just lovely. It's an abundant time of year.
Yes, it is springtime in the Northern Hemisphere. We're both in the Calgary area, Alberta.
Yeah.
And yes, so springtime is in full flow right now.
Yeah, it feels
So what has inspired you to do the work that you do? Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and maybe share something like that?
It's fascinating. So my dream job, always when I was growing up, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I manifested that and I became a stay-at-home mom. But of course, something was lacking. And I felt, a lot of sadness, a loss that happens when you become a mom. This is many years ago. My first child is 20 now. And so I found this article on Feng Shui, and I pronounced it as Feng Shui because I'm like, what is that? And it talked about bringing balance and harmony and healing to your home. I'm like, oh, I need that. And so I started taking these classes and I haven't looked back. And that's my foundation of my work that I do. And of course, that's carried on to other modalities such as healing work and from soul coaching and magical living, basically.
Yeah, creating that space. I'm a firm believer in the environment it's the most important thing. It is the foundation, right? We have our physical environment and then our mental environment and our heart speak in relation to that.
Yes.
Maybe we also think we think to treat the mind or the heart, like follow your heart and thinking too much, but that physicalness of our space is something that, because like I know personally, I could have like a cluttered pile of papers, or my bookshelf is a disaster, my closet's a mess, and I think nothing of it, but actually when it's cleaned up, it's like, oh, something feels,
well, it's affecting you. Everything has a vibration. Everything carries chi, as you were saying. I love how you explain that. The rice and then also like the wind. And I guess your home in a sense is the rice. It's the physical. So Feng Shui is about balancing your mental. So that's what do I desire in my life? And then the physical, you're balancing the physical. So that's actually moving things around in your space. And then you're balancing the spiritual. That's invoking, bringing in your spiritual beliefs. And it really helps catapult you on your journey. It's a space that should support you on your journey. We are constantly be affected because our bodies are 70% water, and water is not a solid form. We're always moving, and that's why we're so easily influenced by our outside sources, people, environment. So that's why it's important to have a space that supports you energetically.
Yeah. And like the chi, I love the Feng Shui. It brings like the wind and the water together, because you could be this body of water, but the wind is going to affect you, right? like it could create these ripples and change the form a little bit. So they're always working together. They're not really separate, but just like the rice and the steam, they are separate but together, creating this. So what can you share with us a little bit about the importance of, or how it supports you? Because obviously we've, gone through the last year living in pandemic times, stay-at-home orders, and spending a lot more time at home with all of our belongings and with family and with all of these other influences. So how might Feng Shui support us there?
In every aspect of your life, really. Your home is not a separation of you. So I can walk into somebody's home and I know exactly what's going on within them here, within their soul, their own being, because everything is a reflection and everything has a vibration. Like you were saying, clutter. It just doesn't feel good. It's lowering your energy. It's exhausting. It can cause depression. It has a heaviness. It's stagnant. You don't want to move. And that's where the wind and water comes in. You want the energy in your home to move like a babbling brook, a beautiful little stream, not stagnant pools of murky waters, or a
Mosquito infestation.
Yeah, or a beautiful flow of wind, where it just touches the skin softly. It's not like a tornado, a chaotic energy kind of thing. Yeah. So it can support you in a way of where you feel protected, you feel nourished, you feel inspired. It's a place that you love to be in. You're not waiting for the next home, but you're living your dreams now. So it's really creating what you are dreaming into the now kind of thing. It's a powerful form of manifestation. Your home becomes a big manifestation board, like a vision board, if people are doing those kind of things, but physical.
I love that idea of that. Yes.
Yeah.
So where might...
Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry, I didn't hear what you said there.
Well, about manifesting, it is one of the most powerful ways of manifesting. Instead of we're dreaming it, we're anchoring it here. So when we walk by a certain space in our home, so there's 9 9 zones in your home, and they all represent different energies, and they all work with the 5 elements. So when you walk in your space, most likely be like your career and life path. So when you walk in, you feel inspired, you feel, this is my passion, this is my path. In your prosperity corner, when you walk by that, it just lifts you up and you feel prosperous, because it's all about feeling, and you want your home to feel those energies kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you say, the vibration of it, it's like a power that's bigger than us. We tap into that space potential nothingness realm. It's also an even more ancient depiction of chi is nothing and fire. So fire comes from nothing. Fire is also representative of inspiration and joy and that passion. It could be like our endocrine system that governs our hormones, and like you say, depression. It all ties in together. And I mean, it's just so, yeah, it's more of the feeling that space, but leaving it empty so things can come. If that, yeah, that's so complex and simple. But where might someone start if they're totally brand new to Feng Shui?
So
they've been pronouncing it Feng Shui for a decade, and
yeah. Well, Feng Shui, so there's different schoolings of Feng Shui. So I'm trained in BTB, Black Hat Sect, and it's brought by Professor Lin Young, and it's adapted from traditional Feng Shui for the Western world. Now there's compass, there's landform, there's a variety, and some can be actually conflicting, but I find that similar to anything in life. We have conflicting ideas, and that's why I go back to listening to your soul. What really calls you? And follow that. If you see a book that just like, that's something I need to read in there, follow that. And that might be the teachings that you're needing, kind of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really,
yeah.
Start where you feel drawn to. But I do like for Western living, BTB is a nice one to follow.
Does that stand for anything?
Black Hat Sect.
Oh, black. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's many, many books on it. Yeah. And I do serve more of an intuitive feng shui as well. You know, I've learned over the years that when I used to go to people's homes, that different things might mean different for different people. So in my teachings, you do one thing for like your prosperity, you do many things for a prosperity corner, but for some people, what may be cutting the chi is actually means prosperity to them. Long story short, I went to a fellow's home, and he was an avid hunter. And I walk into his prosperity corner, and I thought, oh Lord, all this dead chi, it's killing his prosperity. But when I turned around, and I have to admit, he was not very engaged before, but he was in this corner. I turned around, and I saw him, and he just sparked. I thought, oh my goodness, there's his soul. He's so excited. So I didn't want to diminish that. So I asked him, well, what does this mean to you? And he's like, oh, well, this costs this much and this and that. Do you know how expensive this is? So I'm like, oh, so this means prosperity to you. And he's like, yes. So we left it at that, and we made other feng shui changes. Fast forward a few years later, he sold a company he had for millions, and he pocketed like 10 million. So good thing we followed what meant prosperity for him. That was positive chi for him. So that's why it's important to go into what do things mean for you. So I love reading and learning and growing, but always go back to what does that mean for you? What does health mean to you? What does healthy family means to you? You know, what does that look like? So invoking those things into your home.
Yes, it's a very individual-based thing, I believe. You know, it depends on where you're living, like the geography, your interests, your values. There is so much at that. I love that you bring all of that in together.
It's important. There's like a recipe. They're beautiful. I love working off of recipes. Teachings are recipes. And then you add the extra little spices or a little sugar here and there, adding your vibration, because that's how we manifest. That's how we change. That's how we grow, when we add our uniqueness to what we're doing. So I find that with feng shui.
Yes. Yeah, almost like shapes and blocks that you put in, like the square peg doesn't go into the round hole, so there's so many different alleyways. I'm reminded of the conflicting schools of thought, because we see it too in Chinese medicine, but or even maybe in other cultures that look at the sun for direction, the 4 directions. Yes. And we divide the left and the right as masculine, feminine, or yin and yang, respectively. But it depends what way you're facing the sun.
Right.
Because if you're facing like the sun from the south or versus the north, your left and right is going to be different. Yeah. And they're just really the same. It's one and the same. So interesting to take that spin on creating a workable space for someone based on what they're... Yeah. So what might be some tips that you could give in general? Does that exist? Obviously, clean up the clutter. That's stagnant energy. That's not going to serve anybody.
Just doing that will transform your life instantly. I mean, I'm sure everyone's experienced where they cleaned out that one drawer and they want to go back and look at it, because it just gets you excited. It feels good. You accomplished something. Clutter has a vibration and it's stagnant. So once you start moving that energy, so you donating, you throw it out the trash, try not to, but try and donate if you can. Or if you have a very clean home where there's nothing in there, you might want to bring items in to fill it in with beauty. But clutter is the main one, because then you're telling the universe that you have space for new things in your life energetically. So that's the number one thing. And before you start anything, you, of course, declutter, and then you might want to space clear the chi, the energy in your home, because if somebody was living there beforehand, they left an imprint in your home. A part of them's still there. No, you want them out, or you want to clear the energy after sickness, or if you're just, again, feeling stagnant. And ways of clearing this energy is by opening windows, smudging, if you like to smudge, or incense. This is Palo Santo wood. Music, you can hear my canary over there. Music and sound helps move the energy. That's a form of space clearing as well.
Because it's a vibration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Plants.
I mean, it makes sense. Yes. Plants. Yeah.
Bring positive chi, right? Abundance, health. It's clearing the air for you. People have such fear around plants because, oh, I killed them. No, actually thank them for actually clearing your space. It was time for them to go. So send them off with love and get a new plant. And remember to water them once a week, usually.
Right. Yeah, it's like an active and a passive process. You have to, meet it a little bit.
Yeah. So those are the top ones that you would start. And then when you want to start feng shuiing, the 3 key areas, so you don't have to have an understanding of the Bagua map, but the 3 key areas in your home, if you don't have the understanding of the Bagua map, is your front door. This is how energy enters your life. This is the mouth of your home, mouth of chi kind of thing. So it's a very important space. So you'll want to keep it clear of any clutter, adding colors red, because like you want your house to stand out, like draw attention. You can add items like sound, like wind chimes, but make sure there's sounds that you like instead of, annoying the neighbors with the big clang, clang kind of thing. Woodwind chimes are lovely. Adding light, water features in your foyer, because water represents money. So it keeps the flow going for money and allowing energy to flow in. Water can be represented even in mirrors. So you can have mirrors or even photos or paintings of water has a vibration of water. So if you don't have a space where you can have a water fountain, there's lots of ways of inviting water into your front foyer kind of thing. Yeah.
So you're basing a lot, so it's balancing the 5 elements, right? Which are fire, earth, water. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Fire, earth, metal, water, wood.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Those 5 elements. So each area in your home will have a dedicated spot for a certain element. So it depends where your front door falls and how the Bagua map is placed down. So that's where you might have to do a little bit more studying kind of thing. But everything can
hire a professional such as yourself.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say your bathroom is in a fire zone. That's a lot of water. Water puts out fire. So it's talking about bringing balance. Or if if you have too much metal, it's a fast moving energy. It's not a place where you want to go to sleep. Or so you wouldn't want a metal bed, like a metal bed frame kind of thing. That's where you might want to invite wood, because wood has a softer energy, sort of a yin energy, where metal has a yang energy. Yang is that fast moving male energy kind of thing. Or if you have a fireplace in your family zone, well, that can cause a lot of fighting, anger, right? Because it's in your family. Fire gets you passion and I'm a right fighter kind of thing. So it really is about balancing those elements. But if you don't have the time to do all that studying, or even wanting to hire someone, that's why I always say clutter clear, space clear, like energetically, and then start at your front door, do a few of those changes, make it clear of clutter, and it's inviting, and it's things that you love, and adding water features and sound. And then you would focus on your kitchen and your bedroom. So I can go into that a bit if you want.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a quick question that might get a little bit deep, because I know that the Bagua is like the 8 trigrams.
Yes.
So 8 Ba means 8, but you talked about 9 positions in the home. So where does that 9th one come in?
Oh, well, the center, the most important.
Yay! Yeah.
The health, that is your health zone. So
Okay.
the thing is, well, not unfortunately, but usually what happens, that's the one that takes the longest to find full balance because it's in the center. So it needs all the elements to be balanced. And the center is actually the one space where you can have all 5 elements in the center of your home. So everyone will know where their center is. So they can even focus on that and adding all the 5 elements there. And Feng Shui, for it to work, it doesn't always have to be seen either. So if it's, say it's a cupboard there, you can add like one of those, where you open the drawer, those drawer wallpaper kind of things. You can add
Yeah.
color away. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many ways of adding the elements, from shapes to
Ah.
colors to actual items to photo of things. Yeah. It can be
Yeah.
a whole lot of learning.
Right. But the idea basically is that we are in the center, and from there we can pivot and choose what direction we're going in. But if we're
Yeah.
in the center, we want that wheel to be a nice balanced wheel so we can keep moving in a nice, smooth, even
Yeah. Every
direction. If we're a little bit lacking in some area. And I think that people, like, you would know this inherently. You could stand somewhere in your home and feel or sense, you get a feeling of where those stuck places are in your home, right? Like where the little catch in the wheel is.
Well, and that's the truth of it. I find when I used to go feng shui people's homes, this is years ago. I don't do it as much anymore. I more teach different kinds of classes. But when you go into somebody's home, a lot of times you make suggestions, but they've already done it. They intuitively knew. And that's why I always go back to, it's about intention. What are you intending in your home? Creating a space. So I don't just follow the Boggle map. I also follow intuitively, what is it that you desire and how can we create that? So you say your dream home is to be on the beach and you're landlocked, say. And so you're dreaming of this. You're always wanting. So the universe is always going to be giving you that wanting. So the key of manifesting is creating that feeling now. So how can you bring those energies of the beach, that dream? It's about creating that dream home in what you're living in now. So you are living your dream home. That is a powerful way of manifesting. So yeah, so you'd have like a bowl of sand with those seashells and a candle lit there, and that just represents maybe the sun rising over the water kind of thing. Or you have the water features, or I love trees. I always wanted to live in a forest, which I do now, but I didn't when I started feng shui, and I had lots of plants, and I created that feeling of the outdoors by adding, so I have a bird that won't stop, bringing nature into my home. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you get these opportunities and money starts flowing. And then you can even, your dream that you created in your home now gets even bigger. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because it's more about, like, especially when you're living in an environment, it is about the I have statement, or not, versus the I want, or when I get this. And
Yes.
it might not be perfect, right? Because maybe you do move or you do change something up, but it's not because you're in emotional wisdom training, which is based on neuro-linguistic programming. We often talk about this moving away from versus moving towards energy. So if you're in an environment that's not maybe ideal,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to move, it's like that's a moving away from energy versus, okay, what do I have here now? Like, what is it that I want? And getting into that energy of what do I want? So if you can bring some of those elements in to complete that feeling, it's like it signals the bigger channel that, ooh, I'm living this now. I'm actively bringing these parts into my life. And then the next thing shows up and can move. I don't know, this is popping in my mind because, I can hear, well, myself and maybe some others, like, oh, what if this isn't my dream place, or this isn't my dream situation. It's not ideal, but working with that to leverage it. And it's like, okay, we can still control our center, like centered, knowing what we want.
Yeah. Well, it's focusing on what is working for you right now. So like here, so this big dream home I'm dreaming of. So my home is not that, let's just say, I'm living in a really smaller space. I don't even have, maybe not a yard kind of thing. And I really dream of having a yard. How can I bring those feelings just in the now? It doesn't mean that you don't stop pinning. Like, I love Pinterest. I think it's a wonderful way of manifesting and dreaming, right? Doesn't mean that you don't stop doing that, but you look at your home. If you do vision boards and manifestation boards, things that you want to draw into your life, you go through magazines, you cut them out, you stick them on a board, and it's something that you look at every day, because then you get excited, you feel that energy. You're doing that sense in your home. You're anchoring those feelings. So I would really love a yard one day. How can I bring that feeling of the yard? Maybe I'll play music of nature sounds, where I put a little green grass pad on my patio kind of thing, and I try and bring those energies in, knowing that I'm working towards that, but I'm anchoring that feeling. It gets me like, oh, I love this space, So working with what you have, appreciating what you have, that's how we manifest. That's where opportunities grow, because what we focus on expands. So if you are like excited about your space and creating, that's what will expand. And so more opportunities will become, and before you know it, that perfect home will be right there ready for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exciting. There's so much to play with that.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the bedroom and the kitchen. Do you want to share a little more about those areas?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I would always focus on my bedroom and my front doorway, and then my kitchen after. But those are the three key areas. Your bedroom is where we dream. We do a lot of energy work in that space. It should be a space that nourishes you, that inspires you. So a bed, everything is in pairs. So if you're in so your bedroom, even if it doesn't land in the love and relationship zone, so that's an area where that's on the Bagua map, is your love and relationship zone. However, if your bedroom doesn't even fall in that Bagua map area, you still create it. You still work with it as if it is the love and relationships. So that means partnership. That means twos. Does that mean you have to be in a partnership? Does that mean that you want to draw in a partnership? No, it's either a partnership with another person, or the most important partnership is with yourself. This one. The one that needs the most loving. So you think of it as in pairs, everything in pairs, even a queen bed. People are like, why? Oh, I love my king bed. Well, king beds represent 3. So sometimes
interesting.
It's another vibration in that you might not want. So, however, if you have a king bed and you're not able to change it up, mattresses are expensive. You can add the color red underneath the mattress and the box frame. That's just a feng shui quick tip. Again, energy works even when it's not seen. Another thing is, you want to invite things that you love to touch, feel, smell, use all your senses, candles, beautiful places that you want to go to, travel to, perhaps anything abundant. And so nothing singular, everything in abundance or pairs kind of thing. So a beautiful field of flowers works kind of thing. This is also a place you want to be mindful of having things under your bed, clutter, or books, too many books in your room, because we can't relax, or maybe words have energy as well. So if it's maybe a horror book, you might have those kind of dreams at night. So it's just really about play. There's a lot of, I don't know how long you want me to go on, but I can go on for a while.
The floor is yours, lady. Yeah.
Okay, a few other things. You want your bed in a strong position, ideally on a solid wall where you get a view of the whole space, where your feet are not hanging out the door, however, because that is the death position. But there's always a cure for everything. You can hang a feng shui crystal above your head. I don't know if you can see mine. Here, I can angle it. Oh, up there you see a little feng shui crystal.
Yeah.
Those are powerful. Okay, there, sorry. And so a strong headboard, upholstered is ideal, or a wood headboard, because we were talking about that yin energy, that soft energy. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Colors, pinks. And now if you don't like, and any color of the pink wheel kind of thing, if you're not into pinks, you can hide it, or you can add it in your artwork, little splashes. Red and white are also great in your bedroom. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have my notes here because I always forget. There's so many things that we can talk about. Yeah, you want to create a thing, just a space that you love to be in. Like, it's a $500 a night, beautiful bed and breakfast kind of feel that you don't want to leave. So get beautiful pillows and just juicy. Get creative. Create that dream. Create that Pinterest dream. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You can really probably find a lot of items in your home, or I love going to different places like the dollar store, and just get really creative and making a space that just juices your soul.
And I mean, that's so important, because I love, I'm just thinking of the dream space, and you're talking about like the pinks and the reds. And to me, that would represent more of the fire, inspirational energy. But then I think of the resting, and that's very water like, and balance. It's like balancing that water and that fire element, and then mixed in with the wooden frame. So you have the wood and
Well, I wouldn't recommend, and it's more of an earth zone, but I would not recommend like a fiery red wall. You still would want soft energy, soft, like a peach color kind of thing, just a softening to it. So not like here I am, and I can't say.
right.
Unless you're looking for a really passionate room, it depends what kind of relationship you're looking for with somebody or with yourself, and what you're drawing in. So there's no wrong way, it's your way. So what is it that you're wanting to invite into your space, kind of thing?
Right.
Yeah, so you can play with it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like almost like a pilot light, a little hint of flame that keeps the whole mechanism going. It's just enough juice to nourish, so you can rest in a safe, secure zone, knowing that you're going to wake up with that fire still brewing, that's just, simmering overnight. But, when you're camping and you have some embers left over in the morning, and it's just lights that fire up so fast the next morning for your, your breakfast or your tea. Anyway, that's just what comes to mind when you're speaking about these colors. I'd never really thought of that or heard of that before, but I like that feeling. It's kind of warm, hearthy.
I love your idea of keeping that flame going. A great way of doing that is actually those salt crystal lamps. Do you know?
Oh,
And they have
yes.
soft glow. I mean, that would be beautiful, adding that energy in that space, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and then that's where too you want to be careful with like electronics and things, now that we all have our iPads and laptops, not to be where we put it away, that it's tucked in a way that doesn't affect your sleep. So it's not touching your beds. Even like clocks, they're not facing you, but a bit away from you. TVs are not the most auspicious in a space, but for my husband and I, it actually works well, because I stay up late and I like to watch TV and needle felt. I do some artwork kind of thing. But then I found he would go to bed and I'd be up really late, and we never saw each other. So now he sleeps through anything, and it works for us, and it's in our bedroom. But then you can cover it at night with a nice silk cloth, or just soften that energy when you are sleeping. Yeah, there's a cure for everything. That's why I always say, really follow what juices your soul, what gives you that feeling, that's home, and following that. So do research Feng Shui, looking up different tips. I mean, the Google is fantastic for a lot of things. And yes, you will see things that conflict, and that's where you come in with your own soul's truth. And if it vibrates for you, that's the truth. And try it for a couple of weeks. And if it doesn't feel right, if you're not sleeping well, then switch it back. Yeah.
Hmm. On that note, what do you believe about directions? Because, geographically, we might be dealing with the ley lines or some fault lines or something. I know, Feng Shui does take into consideration some of those other
Yeah.
highways,
Yeah.
or does it? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is where, you can get into dowsing homes and the energy lines, and you add different crystals to different areas. Compasses, where someone's sleeping, you might sleep better in the northeast corner. I don't follow those teachings, but I
Okay.
do. Yeah, so there's cures for everything. So you wouldn't want to be in a home where there's a street going straight at your house, like a T, if that shows up
Right.
well, because that's rushing energy kind of thing. So you want to disperse that energy. So you can disperse that energy with a Bagua mirror. I don't have one on hand to show you because they're always supposed to be outside. So Bagua mirrors keep negative out and then positive in. So it kind of just deflects that energy. And then sound, music, it can disperse that harsh energy coming at you. So there's different things like that. Yeah. So if you have a rushing river behind you, yeah. And then the different ley lines, you can douse for those. You can have vortexes in your home and you can soften that energy. So if you're not willing to go into a lot of study into it, do the things that you can to protect your home. So the Bagua map, I really like adding selenite. Selenite towers, and I have them in all 4 of my corners. I think of them as like guardian angels, and they clear your home and keep it a higher vibration. Another stone that's really powerful, I actually have one here, is a black tourmaline, and you can have that at your front door, and that keeps it, keeps negative out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. Actually, the black tourmaline is black and the selenite is white, and that's also very balancing.
It's so balancing. You actually,
Yeah.
if you want to, you can hold the selenite in your left hand, your yin female hand, depends on your belief. And then you can hold on to the black tourmaline in your right hand. And I find it very clearing and balancing. Yeah,
Hmm.
powerful.
Yeah, like a magnet, like
Yeah,
the 2
yeah.
points polarity is.
So you can
Yep.
work with that if you're worried about different energies entering your home. Yeah.
Right. Okay, it's such a vast concept. Oh my goodness, and so many different channels and ways to look at it. I hope we haven't created more confusion for people. But
Yeah.
okay, so trying to bring in all the aspects, the balance elements,
Yes.
and really, I mean, first of all, it's really tuning into what you want, what you value, what you want your space to be, what you need your space to be. Does
Yeah.
it need to be, like certain areas in your home you might want that more inspiration, more workspace, more of that yang energy, active.
Yes.
And in the bedroom, maybe you want more of that restful yin,
Exactly.
supportive environment. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. So doing it based on
Well,
individual.
and like you said, you intuitively know. So I would suggest, again, clear your space, clear it, and then get to know your home's personality. Go to each room and stand in there, close your eyes, and just notice when your body, if it feels like it's being energized or depleted kind of thing. Really feel it. Go around your space. Do I love this? Does it make me feel good? Yes. Does it bring happy memories? Do I have photos up where I look really good with the family? I'm like, ooh, we look all good, but we were fighting in that just before that picture was taken. That still has a vibration of that fight. So look around your space and say, what is the purpose of this? Do I love it? Do I need it? Then get rid of it. What is it that I desire to draw into my life? What are my dreams and how can I bring that into my space? So really go around looking at your space with new eyes, and touching your items, noticing how they make you feel. You might want to write it down so you can have a plan. And then just start. You might want to just start in one room. It might be just the front door area and then move to the next one, or start in your bedroom, or your kitchen. That was another one because that's all about prosperity. So yeah, and make your way. You know, even the smallest steps create momentum. So if you only have time to clutter clear your one drawer, it's a step. You're still acting and telling the universe that you're creating space for something new. You're looking for change in your life. And do things with intention. Yeah. Oh,
All right,
not
Heather says, this is great information, not confusing at all. I've made so many notes and I feel inspired. Oh, that's awesome. Think I know what I'm doing this weekend. Oh, I love it. Thanks,
that's
Heather. Yeah, me too. I'm very inspired by this. I have so many more questions and we're running out of time. There's something in my mind, but maybe do you want to talk about, well, prosperity in the kitchen? I think this is brings it right back around to the chi, the concept of chi, that it's the rice and the steam and the cooking of the rice, you know, all of that material, immaterial is chi, and that's what we're using. You know, it's like a building block of life. So any notes or comments about the kitchen?
let me think. The kitchen, yes. Well, your stove is important. This is where we infuse and make magic, right? Where this is how we share our love with our family or with ourselves. So you want to make sure your stove is in good working order. You use all your burners equally. I know we all have our favorites, but bringing that balance, using the energy equally. If your stove's against a wall, a really powerful thing to do is actually putting a mirror behind, like, so it's reflecting what you're cooking, because that's your abundance. So it's magnifying, it's enhancing that abundance. If you can't do that, I like using shiny like kettles, and they can reflect that back to you. Another powerful thing to do, if your stove is against a wall, you can hang a wind chime above you. That calls in beautiful new energy, inspiring energy. It brings clarity of thought, kind of thing. That's a great thing to do. Adding a bowl of fruit, a bowl of fruit on your counter. Flowers add color, vibrancy, it's health, right? You want to make sure your counter is like 50-50. 50-50 empty. Not
okay.
full.
Yeah. Okay, so it's okay to have some things on the counter, because that's like a never ending, I don't know, between the dishes and the counter clutter.
Try and keep a 50-50 idea if you can, you know, and, you know, adding what else? Make sure your fridge is clean and in good working order. Again, that represents your abundance in your kitchen. And there's a lot of other things like lighting, and you want to make sure the lighting's really, it's well lit kind of thing. But yeah, just make sure it's a nice clean space. I love having the wind chime and having something reflective while you're cooking. And when you're cooking, try not to, especially if you're cooking for someone else, don't cook when you're sick, irritated, angry, because you're infusing that food with that energy. It's true. So really think of it with intention, like, oh, and when you're stirring, do it in clockwise, and you're weaving. This is stuff that you're drawing into your life. You know, you get a little magic in there. If you're using different spices, so I say I'm using cinnamon, I'm like, oh, cinnamon has the energy of prosperity. So when I'm cooking, I'm throwing in my prosperity. You know, it's adding extra intention into what you're doing. Yeah.
I love that. Especially coming from a traditional Chinese medicine background, where herbs and plants and all of these things, spices are our medicine, and bringing a little bit more intention and attention towards those things that are nourishing us and feeding us and our families and our spirits, and supporting our connections with all of that. It just makes it fun, right? You know, making cooking fun, making cleaning fun, making living fun, and yeah.
Making ritual out of the mundane. So your
Right.
mundane.
I've actually heard too some rituals, you know, when you're sweeping the floor, you could put a little salt on the floor and sweep it up with.
Yeah, that's powerful, really purifying. You can sprinkle mustard seeds out the front door. It keeps really bad people away.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Yes. Mustard seeds. Okay. Good to know. Little like anchor sprinkle 4 corners of the house, and
stay away.
yeah. Unless you're invited, then welcome, right? That welcoming environment. Yeah.
But even then, you'll have your selenites to clear their energy too.
Right. Good. Okay, Gillian, I'm sorry, our time has come up. It was a great conversation. Awesome to have you on and share with us your wisdom and your experience. And the light is just shining in so beautifully right now in your space. Yes.
I'm sending abundant energy your way. So much gratitude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, and for our listeners, thank you for joining us today. And we'll leave you with a question for the weekend. What will support you from this conversation that will support you for the rest of your life? Thanks. See you next week.
Wow, what a show today, and the journey does not stop here. Come travel the world with Nicole every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time as together we become more fluent in the language of healing on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV. See you next week.